Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind. Jeff Hansen, Dane Stewart, our interview series where we have a chance to meet with some of the American Fork football players. As always, brought to you by Tab Bank. Don't pay to bank, get paid to bank with a Tab Spend debit account. Jeff, American Fork defeated West on Friday night, 18-12, and really fantastic game. But we had a chance to meet with some of the American Fork football players. Prince Offu, the stud tailback. But what you've talked a lot about was the physicality, and that starts on the O-line and the D-line, as well as the linebackers, with Carson Thorne as well as Mitt Palmer. All right, here with a few boys from American Fork. We got Mitt Palmer, the linebacker, Prince Offu, the running back, and one of the guys in the trenches, O-line and D-line, Carson Thorne. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with Friday night. You guys going to West. It's a matchup you're familiar with. You've played them the last couple of years. What was it like going to that environment, kind of starting the year 2-0, trying to keep the momentum going of what you've built here early on in the year?
It was pretty cool. There was a lot of hype going into this game. It was like game of the week for like most news channels, and just a lot of hype going into it, and we tried to feed off of that and start fast and make a statement early to Utah about who we are. And West had a lot of hype, and we just wanted to prove a point.
Yeah, going off that, it was a different environment that we're used to, but it was something our coaches were prepping us for the whole week, that they have their culture and we have ours, so just stick to what we know and we'll be fine.
Well, one thing that I think historically, and you guys might get mad at me, but when I think of American Fork football, I think of high-flying offenses, things like that. I was surprised how physical you guys were on both sides of the ball. It feels like you guys have made it a point to be a very physical football team. What's that been like this year? What's the identity that you guys have going into the rest of the season?
I mean, yeah, we've just been super focused on physicality and discipline. Those are our two biggest things, physicality and discipline. And we've worked our butts off all summer. I think we've done the best we can to prepare to be a great defense.
Anything you guys would add?
Yeah, I don't know if you could like really tell, but we're not the biggest like team compared to all the other teams. But you know, we come out and we basically got a point to prove that we're out here to compete.
You're not the biggest, really?
I mean, we're kind of there. We don't have any like 6'9" tackles, but
well, you got a bunch of 6'5" tight ends and receivers. And Prince, I mean, you play like a beast. When you think about how you characterize your approach, because we were talking about, it's like you don't get brought down by the first guy. You just find a way. You keep the legs going. You turn what should be a 2-yard run into an 8-yard run. Like, how would you characterize your game for this AF offense?
Our whole running back room is just we just got to run. Our coach tells us all the time, we just got to run with an attitude that we're the best on the field, that we are the guys to bring this offense home, and that we're just better than other teams. We're just better physically, athletically. Yeah, we're just going to go out and prove that we can run with that swag.
Going to let you and Carson address this one, because what's it like blocking for Prince and the tailbacks? Because Broadbent had a touchdown. We've seen Jensen, others. And then what's it like running behind this offensive line? Because I would echo Jeff. I feel like this is a different group when it talks about the running game that you guys have this year.
yeah, I would say it's nice knowing that your guys, like, the first tackle is never actually going to bring him down. So it's awesome knowing that you got a guy that just no matter what, he can break out of anything. You can, like, our whole line could just miss their blocks, and I would honestly have trust that he's going to still pick a 90-yard run. But, yeah, it's just awesome to have the running back room we do. And their energy brings us energy. When they make a big play, it brings us energy, and we want to block for them and just prove a point.
Well, Mitt, I want to ask you on the defensive side of the ball. You have to go up against these guys all summer long throughout practice. You guys play a very physical brand of football. You got the full cage face mask, 55, throwback linebacker number. What is that physicality like when you guys go up against each other in practice? How has that made you better?
I mean, I'm beefing with Carson here every day. We compete every day. We just, I mean, iron sharpens iron. We make each other better. Tackling Prince in practice is very difficult. We get yelled at a lot because of him. But yeah, we just make each other better. I'm super glad that we have guys like them on offense to, push us and make us better.
We talked a little bit about the physicality element to this year's group. Does this team feel different than past AF teams? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but is there something different about this locker room and this group for American Fork this year?
I would say, yeah. Especially from last year, I think we saw just big changes in the weight room, just mentality-wise. We attack everything. We don't take anything off. On the field, practices are fun, energetic. We never take a play off. Like, that's just kind of our culture that we built this year. And it's pretty awesome to be a part of.
I also feel like we're just different mentally. Like last year, we had a lot of guys graduate the year before, so like it was kind of like you could say a rebuild season. We weren't really instilling it in ourselves that we were going to compete for a state championship. But since spring, we've always been saying that this is our year. We're going to take this state championship, and we got to go out and prove it.
Yeah, we didn't like how last year went. We, for the most part, all played together last year. We know how it feels to lose together and to win together. And we decided that it feels a lot better to win together. So, yeah.
Well, the last thing for me, guys, you guys mentioned that going up west, that's a tough environment to play. You said they have their culture and you guys have your culture. How would you describe that AF culture? What is that this year?
I mean, our culture is unlike anything else. I think it's better than any program you'll find in the state of Utah or even the country. I love our culture. You know, we're energetic. We pick each other up. It's a great culture.
Yeah, another thing I'll say on that is Coach Beam, he's not just trying to make good football players. He's trying to make good men for later on in life. One of the things he always tells us is be a man built for others. So be selfless and, you know, just be a good person. Don't be bad to everybody else.
What's your favorite pregame ritual? What kind of gets you guys locked and loaded for a Friday night?
Ooh, I would say Coach Busing's "Ow." We do a speech, and then we do like a little defensive celebration, and it always gets us hyped right before we run out. It's awesome.
For me, pregame, I just like to know what I'm going up against. So a lot of film and just studying, but also like my family, hanging out with my family calms me. So like it just when I'm calm, I play at my best, and it's just nice.
Yeah, watching film, just getting ready. Before every game, personally, I have a few chapters in the scriptures I always read that gets me hyped up, you know, and that's my pregame. But yeah,
it's awesome.
Anything about playing for this AF community? Anything that you feel like is kind of special, fan support, community support? What's it like being a football player at American Fork?
Yeah, I think it's a privilege. I moved here last year, and I can just see like it's different. The fans, the atmosphere, our culture that Coach Beam has built over the past 10 years of him being a coach. It's something you can't just go and find anywhere else. So we're in an awesome spot, and I'm just glad to be here with this awesome team, dude.
Can do something special. It's a special group here at American Fork. Want to thank Mitt Palmer, Prince Afu, and Carson Thornton for joining us here on KSL Sports Rewind. This group, I mean, you can see kind of the intensity, the focus, the hard work, nature of this locker room when you talk to those three.
Yeah, I love listening to them talk about how they play for each other. And Coach Beam's program, do something because the guy next to you would. You saw that in full form on Friday night. That is the culture of this team, and I think that's easy to do when you grow up playing together. Look, in this transfer culture that's happened
not
throughout
common
the state
anymore, sadly.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of that, and I think that's special for American Fork. And we talked about it a little bit with them, and you heard them say it, that they may not be the biggest team that lines up on a Friday night in the state of Utah, but I don't know that you're going to beat the way that this team is tight-knit. You're not going to break them down, and so I think that is a very valuable a valuable weapon to have that tight-knit, true locker room culture, that best locker room in America type feel. When you have that and you don't know if the other sideline does on a weekly basis, that's a huge advantage for American Fork.
There's a couple of things I love that they talked about. One, we were not satisfied with last year.
Yeah.
So many of us played, and we liked the feeling of winning together more than losing together. And sometimes we shy away from adversity and difficulty, but man, that's where you grow. And I love them talking about the growth of last year to this year because they didn't like the pains of last year. I love that lesson. I think it's something we need more of. It's okay to, go through difficult things. That's where we grow, right? But then when they talk about just the physicality nature, and I mean, you asked this question, are they different? You watch it, it is different,
it's different.
Jeff.
It feels like a different American Fork team. I mean, this team is every single play. They are going all out, and they're going all out, and they know that if they miss a block or they miss an assignment, the guy behind them is going all out as well and just as physical. When you got to line up against each other, when Prince Afu has to go up against Mitt Palmer on a daily basis, that is that iron sharpens iron, and you can see that on Friday nights. The way that they play, they clearly have a lot of competitive spirit throughout the whole summer, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the rest of the way.
Here with Coach Aaron Beam of American Fork High School. Coach, first of all, congratulations on a great start. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Coach, want to talk about the game on Friday night. Obviously, it was our game of the week, American Fork at West. You've played them the last couple of years, and they've all been kind of one-sided in favor of American Fork. Friday night was a much tougher contest. When you look back on that game, what was different about this year's contest with the Panthers compared to prior years?
I think Coach Solovy's done a great job building that program over there, and they've progressively are getting better and better. And, I think they've got their best group this year. They're putting things together, very, very physical, very big, good skill position guys. So I think that just, resulted in a tight one this past weekend.
Yeah, Coach, we talked to some of your players this week. One of the things that stood out to both Jeff Hansen and myself as we were at that game was just the physicality. But let's start with the physicality of your defense, because your defensive line, you got some big boys up front with Na'a and with Afu, and then you've got linebackers that fly around. Talk about your defense this year. It feels like your defense this year has maybe picked it up a notch from prior years of American Fork defense.
Yeah, I think a lot of those guys gained experience last year. JBN and Dallin were guys who started last year, and now they've got a really, really solid another offseason under their belt. They've gotten bigger. They've gotten stronger. I think everybody on the defensive side is really buying into playing physical and tackling. We struggled with that early on last year. We got better as the season went on, but we were kind of able to pick up where we left off at the end of last year and bring back 9 of those guys on the defensive side this year. And I think that's probably a result of that.
Well, you guys played it fantastic against West. So many times where you're able to kind of force that prolific offense off the field in some short drives. But they come out in that second half. They got the lead on you in that third quarter. Going into that fourth quarter, being down 12-10, kind of first time you were down to them in the contest. What did you say to your group to kind of help them refocus, get going in that fourth quarter to come back and get the win?
Yeah, at that point, it was kind of just a game of momentum in that second half. We were able to hold on to it through much of the first half. They hit us out of a timeout with a little fake reverse pass, and then they blocked the punt, and then they were rolling, and that's tough to stop. And so just being able to get that ball back, put a drive together with about 6 minutes on the clock, it was just about finishing at that point. That's the point in practice where maybe it's 2-a-days or it's really hot out, and we're telling them we need to finish, and we were able to see that translate there late in the fourth quarter, and being able to put the game away when we kind of had to was really fun to see, and was proud of our kids for responding to that.
I'm real curious because you continue to play Childs as well as Manuela at the quarterback position, give them alternating possessions. They both have strengths and do great things for your offense. But that fourth quarter, it was Manuela who was on the field for that drive that ended up in the end zone. He had some big conversions, third down, fourth down. What did he bring to your offense in that fourth quarter on that drive to help win the game for American Fork?
I think there was 2 third down conversions that were just run calls for the quarterback, and they were blocked up pretty well, but not great. And Capono was able to make a guy miss or get the edge and pick up those first downs. And when he runs like that, and Prince was running the way he was, and to have Cash as a threat and some other guys, that just makes it all the more difficult on the defense. So, Capono's a kid who he wins every race at practice when we're running sprints. He's a competitor, and I think that showed, when the game was on the line, he wanted the ball in his hands, and he was able to move those chains.
I'm not going to, we're going to talk about Prince. We can't have an interview with you and not talk about Prince. What we've seen from him to start the year, and I told him this on Saturday, I love the way he runs. Very patient, yet very aggressive. He finds a seam and boom, he goes, and extremely quick and physical. It feels like he's got all the tools. What is it like to coach him and to watch him on a Friday night for your offense?
I think one of the neatest things about Prince is all the things that you don't see about him. Especially through the off season, how hard he worked in the weight room. I think he's about 20 pounds heavier than he was last year. He went out and he ran track and he did the 300 hurdles and he never won, but he was working on his speed for football. He ran in a lot of JV meets, and if you've ever done the 300 hurdles, it is a grind, and he did it so that he can do what he's doing now on the football field. And, he's able to keep his knees up, and everything's falling forward. And it's really been cool to see his work ethic in the offseason translate to what it's doing right now.
I absolutely love that, and love that it's led to good rewards for him on the gridiron. Coach, one of the other things, we talk about the physicality, we kind of mentioned it with your defense. Your offensive line feels like, man, they are attacking. I mean, there's still a lot of passing opportunities, but it feels like it's a very aggressive unit, get down the field, really create a nice pocket for your quarterback. Talk about the guys up front for your offense.
Yeah, our offensive line's been doing a great job getting push and getting hats on hats. That offensive line made up of Carson Thorne and McKay Christensen, Dallin Afu, Talon Roberts, Andrew Yuli Kalepa is really starting to gel. Dallin's a kid who's going both ways, played a lot of snaps on Friday. But also blocking for his older brother, which is pretty cool to see. Couple, Carson and McKay, got some good reps, and Andrew last year. So 3 guys who had got a little bit of experience under their belt, and Talon's a junior who's developing and doing a great job for us. His older brother played for me back with James Empey and Zach Katoa. And so it's really fun to see them all come together and start to gel. Got a couple other kids rotating in there who are doing a nice job, but that front 5, especially in that fourth quarter, really took control of the game.
I have to ask you, Coach, we had a chance to interview Mitt and Prince, as well as Carson, whom you mentioned up front. And they all talked about the culture of American Fork and how special the culture is of what you've built in that locker room. How would you define the culture of your program?
Man, I tell people that our program is built on love. Kids who come through this program, I want them to learn 3 things: love to do hard things, love challenges, love playing in Region 3, love playing against West on a Friday night, love the process of becoming the best that they can be as a football player, as a young man, and then to love each other, love their teammates, be selfless, sacrifice. I feel like there's lots of talent, I think, but when you get a group of teenagers to buy into those 3 things, you have a chance to be really, really good as a football team. Not to mention, all of our kids are going to go out and they're going to get jobs and they're going to be teachers and doctors and whatever they're going to do. And I feel like those 3 things help them, whatever they're going to do. We got a bunch of kids playing college football, which is awesome, but they're all going on to the rest of their life. And if they can learn things in caveman football that help them once they leave here, then I feel like we're doing our job as coaches.
Coach, I want to ask you, again, one of the things that the players pointed out was just, them growing up, playing together since youth league and playing together through some of the bumps of last year and wanting this year to be different and be better. What is it like the culture of American Fork? Not necessarily your program's culture in the locker room, but the community and being a part of American Fork High School and seeing these kids play together, grow up together, and ultimately play high school football together.
Yeah, I think it's really, really special. I think if you come to American Fork on a Friday night, the stands are packed, and it's the same parents who have been watching their kids play since 3rd grade. My son Noah is a junior, and he's been playing with Dallin Afu and Talon Roberts and all these guys since they were 3rd graders. And so it's really fun. It's a very, like you said, community/family atmosphere. We're really proud of that.
Coach, I didn't ask specifically about Mitt Palmer, but I'll ask you about him because he flew around, and we made this comment to him. He looks like a linebacker between his face mask and just his pads. He just needs the neck roll, and he looks like your prototypical linebacker. I mean, talk about his contribution on your defense.
Yeah, Mitt's a very quiet kid. Actually got a super nice email from a teacher this week just saying what a great job he does in class and how much she loves having him. And that, to me, that's ideal. You get an email like that from your teacher, but then he steps on the football field and he's a totally different, physical, violent football player. I mean, if we could draw it up, that's the way we would like our young men here to act. And Mitt's a leader. He's not real loud. He's not a big talker, but when he makes plays like he does on the football field, guys are watching and they follow him. Mitt does things the right way, not just on the football field, but here in the classroom too.
That's awesome. We mentioned we had a chance to interview some of your top guys. Who are some players that are really big for your program, either on the field or in the locker room, that maybe don't get a lot of headlines, but guys that are big-time contributors or real difference makers for American Fork?
One thing I think that's special and helps us are those guys that, they call glue guys, who are guys who, like you said, maybe they're not getting their name announced every Friday night, but man, if they're not at a practice, we are missing them. Because they're not pushing those ones. They're not giving us the look we need in scout period. They're not encouraging guys. We got a kid on our team. His name's Owen Gardner. He comes in and he holds PATs and field goals. But in a JV game, and he's a senior in a JV game, he may play quarterback or fullback or H, and he's the punter. And he does everything we ask him to do. And we got a lot of guys within our program who fall in that glue guy category that you have to have if you're going to, have any sort of sustained success.
Well, Coach, you have a super impressive squad, off to a 3-0 start. Congratulations on the great start, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
3-0 out the gate. They now play some Region 1 teams. They'll have Davis lurking around the corners. They continue to test themselves in preparation for the deepest and probably toughest region in the state in Region 3.
Yeah, every week is going to be a test for American Fork as they go out the rest of their season. They got 7 games, right? 7 regular season games left, and they're going to be tested every single one of them.
Come watch this team. If you're in the area, they're a blast to watch. The physicality, the versatility they have, and this defense does fly around. Absolutely blast. Want to thank Mitt Palmer as well as Prince Afu, and then Carson Thorne for joining us. As always, thank you for joining us here on KSL Sports Rewind, our player interview series. Go check out our other videos, including our rankings video, our best of video, as well as our 5 burning questions. All this brought to you on KSLSports.com, presented by Tab Bank.